A crime scene is anywhere where a crime occurs. It could be the place where your neighbor trashes your lawn or your local politician commits perjury in court. But more commonly, it's a location where an unspeakable atrocity has occurred, leaving investigators scratching their heads trying to put the pieces together. From gruesome murders to shocking acts of terrorism, here are some of the most famous crime scenes in history. 1. St. Valentine's Day Massacre, 1929. Chicago, the Black Dahlia, 1947. Los Angeles. Few crime scenes have been as seared into the American consciousness as the spot on the street where President John F. Kennedy was shot to death in a motorcade in Dallas. In 1963, the charismatic killer claimed hundreds of victims across the United States in the 1970s. And while his face is familiar from TV shows and documentaries about his crimes, many people forget that Bundy actually left behind physical evidence at many of his crime scenes. During that time, the way forensic teams investigate a crime scene has changed dramatically. In fact, the popularity of true crime has never been higher, with podcasts and streaming series dedicated to real-life crime stories. This fascination with hearing about horrible crimes is matched only by our desire to visit the locations where they took place. There's something cathartic about seeing the places tied to infamous crimes, perhaps because it gives us a sense of closure. In older cases, fingerprints and basic blood tests were used to identify suspects. The violent acts that took place at these spots may have been shocking and horrifying, but they also helped shape our modern concepts of criminal justice, law enforcement, and forensic science. Do you know of any other famous crime scenes? Let me know in the comments below. And thanks for watching. As technology improved, DNA analysis became common, as did the examination of microscopic evidence, like hair and fibers. Today, investigators can use advanced blood spatter interpretation to determine not just the presence of blood, but also the actions that took place at the crime scene. This kind of analysis helps piece together what happened at the crime scene, often leading to an accurate reconstruction of the crime itself. After his capture, his car was dusted for fingerprints, and his clothes were examined for body fluids. One ski mask he wore during a particularly brutal attack was found stuffed inside a hollowed-out book in his home. Items like these helped link him to the crimes and shaped our modern understanding of criminal profiling. What might have been the first modern assassination became the focal point of a massive investigation as Americans grappled with the shocking murder of their president. Known today as Dealey Plaza, the area where the president was shot has become a historic crime scene and the site of ongoing debates about evidence, possible multiple shooters, and various conspiracy theories. The Black Dahlia is one of the most notorious crimes of the 20th century. In January 1947, Elizabeth Short was found dead in a vacant lot in Los Angeles. The attacks of September 11, 2001 were some of the most shocking in recent history, when two planes were flown into the Twin Towers of the World Trade Center in New York City. The resulting collapse of the buildings created one of the largest crime scenes in the city's history. At the Pentagon, another crime scene was quickly established after a third plane crashed into the building. While the attacks themselves were unprecedented, the scale of the devastation at Ground Zero would have a major impact on subsequent investigations. In fact, the 9/11 attacks led to the largest criminal investigation in U.S. history. The young woman's body had been mutilated and as news of the crime spread, so did lurid details about the crime scene, because many of the photos taken at the scene were published in newspapers around the country. This ensured that the gruesome images would live on long after the investigation concluded. More than 70 years later, the case remains unsolved. On February 14, 1929, 7 members of the rival Moran gang were lined up against a wall in a garage and shot to death by men in police uniforms. Because of the brutality of the crime, which was clearly an act of gangland execution rather than legitimate law enforcement. This event, known as the St. Valentine's Day Massacre, shocked the nation and helped turn public opinion against organized crime. While several gangland killings had occurred before, this one was especially shocking, and it remains one of the most infamous crimes of the era. It's also strongly believed to have been linked to Al Capone, one of the most notorious gangsters of all time. Jack the Ripper, 1888, London. Jack the Ripper is one of history's most notorious serial killers, though we have no idea who he really was. We do know that he murdered at least 5 women in the impoverished area of Whitechapel in London. In 1880, he left his victims horribly mutilated, almost always in the same way, and he even reportedly left behind some strange souvenirs at certain crime scenes. As an air of mystery and menace surrounded the crimes, the killer would become a fixture of London folklore, inspiring countless theories about his identity and his motives. 2, 3, 4. The Assassination of JFK, 1963, Dallas. 5. Ted Bundy's crime scenes, 1970s. USA. Ted Bundy was one of the most notorious criminals of the late 20th century. 6. The 9/11 attacks, 2001. New York and Washington, D.C. 8. Use of forensics, from Jack the Ripper to the 9/11 attacks. These crime scenes span more than 100 years. 9. Impact on public and pop culture. Crime scenes are often the basis for books, movies, and documentaries. Who doesn't love a good murder mystery? 10. Conclusion. From the dark streets of Victorian London to the sunny beaches of Los Angeles, crime scenes have become seared into our collective memory.